Okay, first and foremost, it has been a while. I'm here. When I do get an opportunity to check in with you, I want to cover as much as possible in a practical way and an applicable way so that you can start seeing some, not just results, but you begin to be a blessing to the people around you. When you look in the mirror, you see yourself as a blessing, okay? Blessing going in, blessed going out. I want to make sure that you see yourself as the blessing. You have an opportunity to love people, serve people, and give people Jesus. I'm grateful to be alive and still able to serve. Very grateful. So let's get into it. So boom. I have been talking to so many people, literally. With my work professionally as a counselor, I have to deal with so many people, talk to so many people, and then just people I love, people I care about. And I've seen some common themes, right? As a believer, somebody who loves God, you know that it is your assignment to also love people, serve people, connect with people. You've heard me talk about it a million times. Guard your heart above all else because the issues of your life flow from that place. And what I found is most of our issues, most of our greatest challenges is when we're dealing with people. And so I want to talk about something that is a frustration in relationships. And when I say relationships, I want to be clear that it's not just romantic relationships, platonic friendships, romantic relationships, relationships with your coworkers, relationships with just people you run into here and there, maybe some people you go to church with. One of the greatest frustrations that I've been seeing, especially, for the most part, we're dealing with adults. This is what I found. Chronological age is not always equivalent to emotional maturity. It's very critical. When dealing with people, you go in assuming like, oh, this person is grown. This person is older. This person is an adult. So they should know better. They should know how to handle that. They should know how to go about doing this. That's not always the case. I've been guilty of this myself. And it's not just emotional maturity, but it's maturity in general. Chronological age is not always equivalent to emotional maturity. And so you could be dealing with somebody who is older, but still behaves like a child. You could be dealing with somebody that is older and they still can be childish. You could be dealing with somebody that's older, but when they're triggered, you are literally dealing with somebody who's behaving like a child. You're having conflicts with people and you're wondering why you're frustrated. A lot of times it's tied to your expectations of those people. And in times of conflict, times of adversity, maybe you have an expectation on how they should go about handling it. Or maybe you're wanting people to handle things how you handle things. And let's say you've been to counseling, you've been to therapy, you've been privileged to be educated, so to speak. You're going to expect people to behave like adults. There's a phrase that says, everybody grown until it's time to communicate. And the dangerous part about this is when you're communicating with people, you have to remember that chronological age is not always equivalent to emotional maturity. And so if you're wondering how someone who is grown can behave like a child, that's why. If you have been privileged with education, someone has taught you how to manage your emotions, someone has taught you how to handle conflict, someone has taught you how to handle hard conversations, to God be the glory. Not everybody has had that privilege. When I went to my counseling program and I got my degree, of course, I was learning so much. And me, I'm the type of person who, when I learn something, I put people on. There's some people who learn stuff and they look at it as an opportunity to shame other people for not learning or growing at the same rate as them being educated at the same rate as them, not having the same resources or education that they have. It's very dangerous. If you have emotional maturity, and if you are somebody that has learned how to manage your emotions, communicate yourself effectively, you are in a very small percentage of people. And I need you to understand that chronological age is just simply not always equivalent to someone's levels of maturity. And so if you find yourself ever, here's what I would say to someone who is dealing with someone who is older in age, but childish emotionally. I would tell them, do not engage. Do not engage. They say don't fight fire with fire. Engaging in an argument or dispute or altercation with an individual who lacks emotional maturity can cause great pain and chaos. And I will remind you, just so you know, and never forget this. Don't get upset. Don't even let yourself become disappointed. Disappointment is usually always tied to the level of expectation you had on that individual. But please remember, before you engage in the conflict, before you entertain the foolishness, before you entertain the argument, before you engage in the strife and this constant bitter disputes, remember, if that person lacks emotional maturity, you're wasting your time. I would encourage you to say your piece, communicate clearly and effectively, but never fight fire with fire. Because if you do, you will only then reveal you also too lack emotional maturity. I encourage you that when dealing with people, it may get tough. It may be a drag, but just check in. Be like, yo, before I engage, is the person I'm about to engage in this conscious, critical dialogue, this heavy conversation, before I present this hard thing to this individual, let me ask myself, do they lack emotional maturity? Do they lack spiritual maturity? Do they lack maturity in general? That is the question I want you to ask before you engage. Because when dealing with people, it can get very tricky. It can get very tricky. And so I encourage you, no strife, no back and forth over foolishness, okay? We don't have time. And remember, we're making a promise to ourselves. We're never letting our relationships with people, when it gets crazy, we're not gonna let that kind of stuff take us to the hospital, okay? And if you wanna meet with me one-on-one, now you can do that too. I have this opportunity to host an amazing community called the Momentum Academy. It is an amazing opportunity for people to connect with me. We meet every single Monday on Zoom. So I love y'all. I'll see you soon.